Hi everyone, and welcome back to the House of Floss and Fluff. My name is Carrie. Thank you guys for joining me. Today is Wednesday, May 18th, I think. I think I got that right. I know it's a Wednesday. So welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a little different. This is not my usual monthly update because, well, the month isn't over yet. So I am not done with my mania stitching yet, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do something a little bit different. And so I wanted to do something kind of along the lines of a stitch with me, but instead do a finish with me. So I know I'm not the first Flosstube channel that has probably done this. In fact, I'm almost positive I'm not, because there's so many great creators out there. I'm sure they have done stuff like this before. So this is not a tutorial. It's not like one of my, what I would consider a normal tutorial. It's just more of a kind of, we're going to go through the process of how I finish something. In this case, it's going to be 2 hoop finishes, and I'll kind of walk you through what I do. But like I said, it's not necessarily a strictly step-by-step tutorial. I may skip a little bit here or there. It's just kind of a fun little thing to do. I thought we'd try it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Nobody may ever see this video, and that's okay. Or, this may become a new thing. Who knows? So one thing, the video might be a little cut and paste, just because I cannot find a way to speed my videos up, so like, for instance, when I was ironing, so I already ironed my pieces, which I'll talk about the pieces in a minute, but I went through and ironed them already. But like, say I was trying to iron on camera, and how you can speed through so you don't have to sit and watch the whole process. I cannot figure out how to do that. I do have some editing apps that I use on my phone when I edit my videos, and I think I might have to pay for that feature. So just, be forewarned, it might be kind of cut and pasted a little bit so we can skip through some of the more boring parts, like watching paint dry, because I'm going to paint my hoops. So yeah, I won't make you guys watch that. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to do 2 hoop finishes, and the 2 projects I'm going to finish. So this was the first one. This is from Melissa at Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. It's her blog. She does amazing free patterns. This is the 1776 crock, and I did change it a little bit. There is a bunting that goes on the bottom and on the top, and I just left that off because I wanted it to fit in the hoop. And so it just will look better, I think, without that on there. And then the other one, this is one of the Quirky Quakers from Darlene Whimsy. I might have that wrong. I should have done notes. This is kind of one of those things that's just kind of like off the cuff type of videos. And yeah, I'll correct it on the screen if I have the wrong name, but it's the snail. He's so cute. And so I'm going to do him in the little 3-inch hoop. Okay. So those are, like I said, those are already been pressed and are ready to go. I don't do anything special when I iron. In fact, I'm probably the worst ironer ever, if that's a word even. I suck at ironing. I'm one of those that will literally rewash clothes instead of having to try and iron them, because yeah, no. So the only thing I do use is I do use Best Press, which I would definitely, I love this stuff. But just be careful, be forewarned. These are hand-dyeds, so just be careful if you're using it on a hand-dyed fabric or with hand-dyed threads. There is the chance it could run. So the colors could run. So just be forewarned if you use it. But I love this stuff. I got this on Amazon, but I did find out that my local quilt store, which we have a local quilt store in town, which is literally within walking distance of my house, now carries their products, which is awesome because I don't have to order from Amazon. When I like run low really quickly, and I, if I'm low and I like really need it for something, I can just run in and get it. So anyway, so I'm using 2 different size hoops. So this is a 4-inch hoop. They're both bamboo. The 4-inch one I got from Walmart, and I gotta take the sticker off. And then the 3-inch one is from a shop on Etsy, Crafty Felt Wool, I believe is the name of the shop. Again, if it's wrong, I'll correct it, but I'll put links in the description box. And so like I said, 3-inch, 4-inch. So we're going to use those. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to paint them. So I went through my paint collection. So these were actually paints that were given to me by a friend. She no longer paints, and so she had some paints, you know, that she just was like, I'm not going to use them if you're going to use them. So this is kind of like my personal stash of paints. So I picked out this color. This is a medium Victorian teal. It's a Delta cream coat. I don't know if they even still make this. This is an older label, I can tell. So it's been a while. So this is going to go on the one for the snail, I think. I'm kind of debating now, but I think I'm going to go ahead with it. It's not going to exactly match the green in the snail, but we'll try it. If it doesn't work, I'll just use it for another project. And then I've got two different paints for the one for the 4-inch hoop for the 1776 croc. So I'm going to do a light coat. I'm going to do the lighter coat first, the lighter paint color, and then I'm going to come over it with a little bit of the darker color and probably end up doing some distressing on it to see both colors. So we'll see. But this one is, okay, this is the Americana brand. This is Indian turquoise. Almost positive this is probably no longer available because they do change colors, which is very frustrating. But they do, they discontinue colors, which is maddening when you have a color that is really popular and you can no longer get it. Anyway, and then this is just a navy blue. So we're going to try that. We're going to see how that works. I may do a couple different techniques. I might do some, I might water them down a little bit, do kind of like a whitewash, but with those colors. Ooh, this one came off really easy. Sometimes these tags are darn near impossible to get off. So we're going to do that first. We're going to do the painting part first. Okay. So I've got my little handy dandy paint tray, which this thing has been used for, I don't know how long, years and years and years and years. So I'm going to do we're going to do the 3-inch one first. So first and foremost, you guys probably already know how to do all this stuff. Like I said, we're just kind of chatting here as I work my way through finishing. So you got to take the outer hoop off, just set the inner hoop and the little screw top piece aside. Make sure you put them somewhere that you're not going to lose them or that the cats are going to play with them, because my cats will do that. I've got a sleeping kitty down here. I don't know if you guys can see. So that is Ziva. That's our oldest cat. So she's usually hiding, but since we got the kittens, she's actually been out a lot more. Sorry, my camera is like, my tripod all of a sudden decided to be goofy. Okay, so I'm going to shake this up because like I said, it's older. Hopefully it comes out okay. Sometimes you just never know with these paints. Oh, it's kind of a gray color. Okay, so I've got a little bit of paper towel, just plain old paper towel. I didn't dampen it or anything yet. I do have a cup of water. Yes, this is my paint cup. That is all this is used for. It looks disgusting because it has paint in it for, again, years and years and years. So got just a regular paintbrush, nothing fancy there. Now the metal piece, sometimes, you know, I'll try and get fancy and like tape around it so I don't get paint on it. And then most of the time I just say, I don't really care, and I paint it anyway. And that's what I'm going to do this time. I'm just going to paint over it. I really don't care. It's all good. It's just for me, so I'm cool with it being on the metal part. And that's all we're going to do. I'm just going to paint around. So I just painted around, and then I'm just going to come through and kind of wipe a little bit off. This is my method of, it's kind of like staining, but not really. So it just kind of, it'll dull the color a little bit, so maybe it won't be quite as thick on there. You know, it'll just kind of rubs it into the wood grain. That's kind of the hope. Sometimes sometimes it works better than others. And sometimes it does help if you use a damp, like just kind of has a little bit of moisture on the paper towel. You can even use like a wet wipe type thing if you have those on hand. But I don't mind this one actually being fairly dark. I like that. I actually really am liking how that looks. Okay, so the whole thing is painted. The whole outside is painted. So I'm just going to set this one aside, let it dry, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting my other one. So I'm going to set that aside. And I might use a little different, I might use a little bit of water on this one to kind of water it down a little bit. So once again, same process. We're just going to remove outer hoop, set inner hoop, and a little screwy top aside. And, oh, I only grabbed, well, I'm gonna have to go get another paintbrush because I forgot that I have 2 colors for this one. So this is the Indian turquoise, which is the lighter color. See how it comes out here. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one, and I think I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a little bit of water. So this, like I said, this is just plain tap water, and I just get my brush just a little bit. I know you probably can't even tell. It's just, the tippy top is just a little bit wet. And I'm just going to, I just add a little bit as I want until I get it to a consistency that I want. So it's kind of, it's got a little bit of a runny consistency to it. And we're just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to paint it on. And this is very light. So it's very, very light, which is fine. And then I'm going to take another piece of paper towel. And I'm just going to wipe, which might seem counterintuitive, you know, because it basically wipes it off. But there's just that little bit of a blue tinge to it. And I'm going to see how this looks when I'm done with it, because this may be, I might not even use the darker color. This might actually give me what I am looking for in this one, but we'll just have to wait and see. We'll be back when this one is done with this first coat of the Indian turquoise. Okay? Okay, so I dried. Both of them are dry. I just went ahead and I actually took my regular hairdryer and dried them so we could move the process along. So that is the first coat of just the light color, the Indian turquoise, with it's been watered down a little bit and then wiped off with paper towel. And my camera, I'm sorry if I'm looking at a weird, this is a weird angle because this is actually not really how I normally have my camera set up. So I apologize for that because I'm just trying to get stuff in there so you guys can see it. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint the navy blue color on. So I did go ahead and get a brush, got one more piece of paper towel so we can do a little bit of wiping off because I don't want it super dark, super saturated. Not as saturated as this one. This one turned out fairly saturated, but I actually kind of like it. I'm still debating if the color is going to really go with the snail, but I like the color. So even if it doesn't go with Mr. Snail, it'll get used for something. And we may have to do another hoop. It's okay. Okay, so once again, I'm going to take a little bit of water. And yeah, this water is diluted with paint already, but that's okay. And again, I just take just an itty bitty little bit. I just kind of get my brush a little bit damp and I just go ahead and kind of mix it in to my paint. So it's just a little bit soupy, a little bit watery, not super duper water, you know, it's not like running off it, you know, I can lift it up and it's not like running off, but so once again, I'm gonna come down here because I just want to see, kind of just want to see how this is gonna look. So I'm just gonna do like a small little section, and we're just gonna see if I like that or not. And I like that. I do. I like that. It's gonna kind of match a little bit. It's not gonna match the colors in the piece exactly, but it'll kind of be along the lines of the darker blue that I used in the flag. So, oop, and we drop stuff. That's what happens. Yes, I drop stuff a lot. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. And I don't have a ton of paint on my brush. I keep it try to keep it fairly light amount of paint. You don't need much, especially when you water it down a little bit. A little bit goes a long, long way. So we're just going to get up to the top. Like I said, totally don't care about painting the metal piece, especially when I do this technique because it just gets wiped off anyway. So it kind of actually, To me, it kind of ages the metal piece even, depending on the color that you're using. Like I said, don't worry about the inside. The inside of all of my painted hoops look like that. They don't look very good. That's okay, because nobody's going to see that. So that's no big deal. We're just coming up to the top again. I think that looks good. I think I'm happy with that. So, thinking that looks, yeah, I like that. That's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause you guys again real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with the blow dryer so you guys don't have to watch drying paint, because yeah, that's not fun. And then we'll come back and we'll see. I might go ahead and distress a little bit with some sandpaper. We'll see. We'll see after it's dried. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, and we're back. So I went ahead and I hit it with my hair dryer so it would dry it fairly quickly. And I think I like it. Came out a little bit darker maybe than I had wanted, but I think it's gonna look good. I kind of put it up to the piece and I think it's gonna look good. So I also went through, cleaned my hands so they're free of paint. Paints are cleaned up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead, because I want to distress just a little bit. So I've got my sandpaper. This is a 100 grit sandpaper, so you know, finer, a little bit fine, you know, there's definitely, so this might be a little loud and annoying, I apologize, but I don't have, now I know you're supposed to go with the grain, all that stuff. I don't do that when it comes to hoops. If I have bigger wooden pieces, then I do, you know, I try to use proper sanding technique. When it comes to hoops, I don't, and I'm just kind of doing the edge. I don't even know if that, kind of pick that up. I'm just kind of doing the edge. And I'm just trying to figure out, because I actually do like putting my hoops together a certain way. So I may have to go the opposite way of what I like to put. I'm still kind of doing both sides the same, just because I'm not 100% certain which side I want to face out yet. This one's a pretty even one where they both painted up really nice. Sometimes one side just does not paint up very well. So, and I've got, again, just a dry piece of paper towel. And this is just to get the excess off. You know, you've got your little paint bits and your wood. Okay, so that's one side. Like I said, they're fairly similar. And then I just kind of did the edge. So I think that looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm actually happy with either side. Okay, and so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit this one. Okay, so that is one side. I think I like that. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to just do the same thing on the other side. That works for me. So that side got a little bit more to it. So we'll have to see when I put it on the piece which one I like. So I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm just running the paper towel along to get all of the dust. That's what I was trying to think of last time. I'm just trying to get the dust, the paint dust, you know, a little bit of the dust from the wood. I'm just trying to get that off. Because, you know, you can see, you get it on there, that also, that little fine dust ends up on the piece as well. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I like it. I don't think I need to do a whole lot more. I think that looks pretty darn good. And I I think the light color kind of got lost with that darker color, which, you know, that happens. I just went a little too dark with my colors, but that's okay. I like the color overall, and you can kind of see it in a few of the streaks. You can kind of see that little lighter color kind of popping through a little bit. So, but overall, I'm happy with that. So I have one last step to do that I want to do on these, and that is to seal them. So I seal them. This is Rust-Oleum, right? Yeah, it's Rust-Oleum. I use the matte, the clear sealer. And so I recommend if you guys are going to do this, so I'm not going to do this on camera because I have an actual special place in my back shed where I spray this stuff, because the stuff will get on things, and it actually coats them with like a white film. Believe me, there is stuff back there that is, yeah. I have a box that has been so coated with this that you actually can't get a knife through it. It's insane. Like this stuff, I mean, that's many, many years of coats of this stuff, but yeah, it's crazy. So what I recommend doing if you're going to do this step, you don't necessarily have to do this step. I just like to do this step. It just seals in the paint, you know, especially if you've distressed it a little bit. I just like, because then you know that all of the dust and everything, you're not going to get it onto your piece. This kind of seals it in for you. So I just like doing this. Anyway, and so what I would recommend doing is, the best way to get the whole thing covered in this is to hold it by hand. If you're going to hold it by hand, wear gloves. Either wear rubber gloves like you would use for cleaning your dishes, or just a pair of gloves on the hand that you're going to hold. And you just hold by the little holder here where the screw goes in. You just hold up top here, just hold it, and then hold it away and spray. Just like you would spray paint something. It's the same thing as using a can of spray paint. So you just kind of hold it a little bit away from you and spray in a nice even fashion. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to do is, when I get done doing that, I will hit it with the blow dryer to dry it. And you want it to be where it's no longer tacky. Again, it's basically just like spray paint. You just want to be able to touch it and it's not going to be tacky, because obviously you don't want that tackiness. You don't want to put that onto your cross stitch piece. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go spray these. I'm going to dry them until they're not tacky anymore. And then we will actually get to the part of where we put the cross stitch piece into the hoop. Right? We're gonna actually finally get to that. So, okay, I'll be right back, everybody. Okay, welcome back. I know you guys are at a different angle, so that's because I went ahead and I sealed my 2 hoops. And so, like I said, I use the matte sealer. They do have a gloss, so if you want, you know, a little shinier finish to it, you can get the gloss. I just like the matte look. So we are at the point where we can go ahead and we can put our stitched piece into our hoop. So we're getting close to the end there, right? Just excuse the hair, because there's always hair. When you have a Newfoundland and you have three now cats, hair is just par for the course. It's what happens no matter how many times I vacuum. So I think this is the side that I'm going to go ahead and use. I hope you guys can see it okay. I'm not used to having my camera like where you don't see my face. It's kind of weird. This is all new. Okay, so I'm just making sure. So I'm getting the bottom part to my hoop, or the second part, the inside portion. Okay, let's remember how it fits together. And then the screw portion goes in there. Okay, so we're gonna get this fit in here to get, so we're gonna get this together now. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this down just a little bit, because I've got quite a bit of excess fabric. Well, maybe not, hold on. I'm not gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna do that yet. I'm gonna go ahead and fit this in here just because I don't wanna cut myself too short, you know, because I've done that before and that's frustrating than trying to get the finish to look good. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it this way. You know, that's how I do most of my, I think that's how I do all of my hoop finish. I'm just looking, yes. It's a little different than how I do, like when I do the, I've done the fabric yo-yo wreaths. It's a little bit different, little different setup. So I have to remember how I'm doing this, that I'm doing it correctly. So now I'm just trying to get this somewhat centered. So that way the design is centered with my top portion here. I'm using this as my top, as my guide for the top of my project. So this is just kind of fussy, just trying to get it to where I like how it looks. You can see, so that is how it's starting to come together. And I think I eyeball this. You could certainly, you know, use a ruler or whatever, you know, how precise you want to be. I eyeball everything, honestly. I very rarely pull out a ruler, unless it really comes to measuring my margins for starting a project. That looks good. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to take our little screw piece here, and we're just going to put this in here, and we're going to tighten it down. So I start tightening. I don't tighten it all the way, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of gently pull my fabric. Like I said, I don't want to pull it so tight that I am distorting the cross stitch piece. So this is just kind of by feel and by look. I couldn't tell you how tight you should pull your fabric, because every fabric is different too. That's one thing. Like, you could probably pull a Aida a little bit more, where the linen is going to get distorted really quick. And so I think that looks pretty good. That looks pretty taut in there. That looks pretty tight. I'm liking how that's looking. So I'm just going to tighten it down a little bit more. And again, I'm not going to tighten it again. I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet. And I'm just going to kind of come back through and just make sure that my fabric isn't puckering at all along the sides, that it's staying nice and flat, that it's wrapping around nicely, and it's wrapping around this inner hoop nicely. And okay, that looks, once again, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten it as tight as I can possibly get it. Now here's the one thing to note that I will say. If you want to use this as a hanger, so if you want to put like a piece of twine or something so you can hang it up, then you're going to want to try to leave a little bit of space in here. Can you see? Let me see. I have a long fingernail there. You can kind of see that there's a little bit of space in there. That way you can get a piece of twine or a piece of string or something so you can hang it up. Now, this one is going to be just a shelf sitter. I'm not planning on hanging it, so I'm not too worried if I don't have that little bit of a gap there. I'm okay with that. Once again, I'm just going to kind of pull, make sure everything is looking good, and I'm just going to keep tightening until I get it as tight as I can. And that is it. I can't turn it anymore. My husband could probably turn it more. His hands are stronger than mine, but I think that looks pretty darn good. Okay. So now, sometimes I wish I could just leave it like that. I really do. Like, just leave the excess fabric, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to trim and cut the excess fabric. So I'm going to leave myself about, again, I'm not going to measure. So I would say roughly maybe 2 inches. I'm not going to cut it super close, even though, I mean, that is an option. I've done that with just regular fabric where I've cut it really close, like I've cut it right up to the hoop. I'm sorry, I forgot to kind of check my camera and see if you guys could see what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm just cutting a circle around here. Okay, and I'm just actually going to cut straight off there. And there's my large piece of excess fabric. And I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to kind of get in here. Basically just kind of cutting off the serged part. Okay, and so there we go. So that is what we have so far. We have the little excess fabric around the edge, and that's what it looks like. And sometimes I think that's kind of cute with the little excess fabric. Isn't that the 80s? Wasn't that the ruffle? Didn't they do that a lot in hoop finishes? Okay, so now you've got a couple different options when you're here. You can do what I like to call the way I've done this many times, which is to glue. And you can use your hot glue gun, which I have right here, and you can just glue around on the, put a little bit of glue here on the inside hoop, and then just fold it over, and it'll be glued down, and you can do that all the way around the whole thing, and it'll be all, this excess fabric will all be glued in, okay? So you can do that. You can also use like Eileen's tacky glue. That you just have to wait for it to dry, and so you might want to use like binder clips to keep it clipped down, so that way it dries flat down, okay? Or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the technique of actually sewing around. So let me just get, I have everything except I don't have a needle, because, you know, why would you think to grab a needle if you're going to do sewing, right? I don't know. I don't know. At least my needles aren't far. So, and when I mean like binder clips, like these things, this is a big one. They come in different sizes. But you could, you know, clips just to hold the fabric in place while you wait for like the tacky glue to dry. That's why I actually do like using the hot glue, because it's fast, you know, and I'm all about how quickly can I get something done. That tends to be my philosophy. So now I'm trying to pick a needle here, because this is a 40 count, so I don't want to, I'm going to grab a little smaller needle. I think this is actually a needle I do use that. It's like just a tapestry needle. It's got a blunt end to it, so you want to use for stitching. And this is just regular sewing thread that I'm using. You could even use like a strand or two of DMC. Not, you know, it doesn't have to be a specialty thread per se. I just grabbed my sewing thread. I'm just gonna clip that. And then I'm just going to thread my needle. Okay. Let's see if I can do this on camera, huh? Can I thread a needle on camera? I don't know. I don't have my big light on either. I just have it's very bright outside, so I didn't turn on my aught light that I use. Let's see, and that's why, look at that. This is going to be, and 20 minutes later, I'm still trying to thread my darn needle. This is crazy. I never have any issues until, let's do this on camera. There we go. And we got it. Okay, so I'm going to pull it down to where it meets the other end of my thread. Okay. Oops. Well, that didn't work. It doesn't help when you hold one piece of thread and you don't hold the other piece. Okay, so I've got it pretty much even here. We're just going to even this out. There we go. Okay, so we got the two ends together even. I'm just going to make some knots in here. And there's a lot of different ways when you sew. I know this is not usually the typical way that you make a knot. They actually show a way. I never figured it out. This was the only way I knew how to do a knot, and this is what I do. And I just wrap it around my finger, pull the tail back through. There we go. And I'm just getting a large knot here because I want this to be my stopping point. Okay. And just 1 second, give me 1 second. I will be, okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Had a text that I had to answer. So we're getting to the point of where we're going to sew. So where I left off, I had just finished putting a knot at the end of my thread. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. I got a nice knot there. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna start on the bottom. So I've never tried sewing on camera before, so we're gonna see how this works. And I'm just kind of picking up here towards the edge that I had cut off. And I'm just doing a basic kind of running stitch. So I'm just kind of going through here. And I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna pull. And like I said, not a tutorial. I'm just gonna run a few stitches through here and pull. So, and basically what you want is that you want to be able to kind of pull and see how it's going to gather. So that's basically what you're looking for, is you want to be able to get your fabric to gather like that, so that way you can pull it down. back. We're just getting back to our beginning point. So I'm just going to do one more stitch, kind of come up close to the knot there that I started with. And as you can see, I started from underneath the fabric, if that makes sense. So I didn't start on the top here. I didn't start on the top. I came up from the underneath portion. So I didn't do it on the top here. I started underneath here. Hope that makes sense. Like I said, not strictly a tutorial because I might not be explaining this the correct way. Okay, so all I did was clip off my needle with a little bit. I left myself a tail. You do want to leave yourself a tail on both sides. You want your knot part where you started to have a little bit of a tail, and you want your finished piece to have a tail as well. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two tails, we're going to pull them together. And you see how your fabric comes down? That's what you want. You want your fabric to start coming down nice like that. It's looking good on the front. Okay. So then we're just going to tie this. If I can here, there we go. So I'm just going to tie, just like you would tie your shoe. I'm going to tie it down, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And I'm going to tie one more knot. And that looks pretty good. And so then we're just going to cut off our excess here. And there you have. The whole back is all nice and tight down. Now, if you need to, if for some reason, and I usually do, this one is actually one of my better ones where I don't think I'm going to have to run any extra thread. But sometimes when you pull it to tighten it down, it might not come flat. This might not be super flat down. So you may just have to take a little bit more thread. Again, you're just gonna thread your needle with whatever thread you're using. Make yourself a little knot with the tail, and you just kind of come up underneath, so it comes over, and you just kind of so you come up from here, like say this side, you would come up with your thread, and then you'd come over here and come and go through the top, and then pull and find another corner, come up, over, etc. Just to pull your fabric down so it's flat, just to kind of hold it so it's flat down. This time, and that might not make sense, I apologize. Maybe on the other one I might have to actually do that. We'll see. But this one actually laid down fairly flat for me right on the first go. So there you have it. Okay, so then what you can do from there, so this is a 4-inch. Let me see if I have a piece of 4-inch fabric, or if I'm gonna have to cut. I might have to cut another piece, but we'll see. I think I have a piece in here that will work just to show you, and I can cut another piece. So what I will end up doing is I will take a piece of fabric. Actually, this one might work. Oh no, that's not big enough. If I can find a 4-inch circle, there we go. Maybe they look like 4-inch. There you're not. Okay. Do I not have any 4-inch circles? Oh, there they are. There's my big circles. Okay. So I'm going to take, let's see, this will work. So I got my, oops. So I'd already cut these out. These are going to be used for fabric yo-yos. So I have, this is a 4-inch piece of circle fabric. Okay. And sorry, and I just made a mess everywhere. So you can come and you can take your fabric. Now, let me see. This is a 4-inch circle. This is cut, and look at, it's actually big on there. Look at that, isn't that crazy? So that's not gonna work. That happens sometimes. Let me see. I have a 3-inch one here too. I think I do. Yeah, this is a 3-inch, and it's going to be too small, but it might work for what I want. So basically what I do is I take a piece of fabric, and I try to get it to where it's actually on here. So I'm going to have to cut my own, I think. And I glue that on to just kind of hold the back down, and then that way if it is hanging, you don't see anything behind because it's got a piece of fabric or felt or something behind it. So that was just an example. I will probably end up cutting another piece of fabric or felt or something, because that's crazy that, yeah, these are cut to 4 inches and they are a little bit too big for that, which you would think that shouldn't be right. I mean, it should work just fine. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get on to the last one. So this is the little snail from Darling Whimsy on Etsy. We're gonna put this one in. Same process, basically. You know, I'm gonna put this in here. I'm still not 100% sold on the color that I chose, but I was just checking to see how this goes in here. But I think it'll work. It'll be cute. It goes well with the fabric. So, and this is another 40 count even weave. It's another Brandy. Oh, sorry. There's trucks outside. I just heard a noise. I'm like one of the animals. I hear a noise. And I have to look up and see what the heck is going on. What do I say? I think that looks pretty good. I think that's probably about as close as I'm gonna get it. Sometimes that's just, you know, close enough. Okay, so I'm gonna go once ahead. We're gonna put the screw back in the top, and we're just gonna start screwing it down here. Okay, I'm gonna get to, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason why I stop. I just, when I feel it kind of starting to tighten a bit, I'll stop, so that way I can come in and pull my fabric. So again, I don't want to pull it too much because I don't want to distort my piece. So as long as the stitches aren't getting distorted, it's okay. I can kind of, like I said, I can kind of fuss it if I need to just move it slightly into place, not huge amounts, just very slightly. I can kind of do a little bit of that by just pulling the fabric. Okay, and we're going to tighten a little bit more. I just want to get this top to make sure this top part lays. And like I said, I'm just tightening it down and just pulling my fabric, trying to make sure that my piece stays pretty well. Like I said, I think we're doing pretty good. I think it looks pretty good so far. So I think now I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of tighten down. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now we're just tightening it down. And I'm just going to tighten it right to there. It kind of stopped. I want to leave a little bit of a gap because I think I am going to go ahead and put a piece of twine or something that I can hang this. But I think that looks pretty good. I think he's so cute. Very cute. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to just trim around the outside. I'm going to leave myself, you know, probably about 1 inch if I measured it. Again, I kind of eyeball. Well, let's see. Just out of curiosity, I do have a little measuring. So I have my little square here that I use. So yeah, we're about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches of excess fabric that I'm leaving around the edge. And you can, I mean, that's up to you and how you finish. I would say you can get away with a little bit less if you're going to glue it down. You could probably even get away with less if you're going to do the sewing technique. And then obviously if you're going to cut it flush with the hoop, then you're going to have like nothing, right? So I'm just going to come back through this one. This side was just a little bit more than I think I need. That was actually the side I measured. So like I said, I would guesstimate around 1 inch of fabric left. I said, I never measure, you guys. I don't. I just go by what my eye looks, and what it looks like by eye. And if it looks good to me, I go with it. So once again, I'm going to get my sewing thread. And like I say, you want to make sure you get a piece big enough, long enough that it can go around the whole thing. And remember, in this case, I am doubling it up, so I want a little bit of length to it because I'm doubling it up. Okay, should we see if I can get the if we can have an easier time? Let's see. We're not gonna have an easier until our ends meet here eventually. Oh wow, I cut this one really long. This is longer than I need, but that's okay. I would rather be longer than I need than obviously short, because then I have to pull it all out and redo. So I'm just matching my two ends up here. I'm going to do my knot again, which I just wrap around my two fingers, pull the end through, knot. And like I said, you do want to leave yourself a little bit of a tail, because as you saw in the other one, that's how you pull it together, is with the tails. So you want to leave a little bit of a tail on your knotted end as well. I do quite a few knots because I don't want my knot to pull through my fabric. Even though this is a 40 count, I have had that happen. I've had it happen with just a regular, you know, the cotton fabric, you know, where it actually just pulls it right through. So I tend to knot more than I need to. And that's okay, you know, because you end up cutting that off anyway, so it's not a big deal. So there's my knot. Once again, like I said, I knot fairly large, probably a lot larger than I need to, but that's okay. So once again, I'm going to start on the bottom here, and I'm going to come from underneath. We're not going to come from the top. We're going to come underneath here. And I'm going to do another running stitch, same thing. So we're just going to come through. I'm going to do 2 and then pull. And there we are started. So once again, I'm towards the top of where I cut the fabric off. I'm towards that end of it. And I'm just pulling through. And I know I'm sure you can, I've seen people do this so fast. I'm not very fast at this, I'll be honest. So you can also, like I was talking about putting the fabric on the back here, you could also put like your fabric right in here and just, you know, kind of sew. When you sew in, it'll be stuck in there too. You can do that if you wanted to. Of course, I mean, then you wouldn't be hiding this part, you know, but you could do that if you're just kind of more trying to get it so that way people can't see the stitches or whatnot when it's hanging. If that makes sense, I don't know. That just like popped into my head, and I'm not sure if that actually made sense, but hopefully it did. Let's see, and we're almost to the end. This one, I like these small hoops. Doing this on the large hoops can get pretty tiring. So I'm almost right to the end, so I'm going to do one more stitch where I come up pretty darn close to that knot where I started. So I'm pretty close there. All right, and that's the end. So then we're gonna just go ahead. I'm just gonna cut, like I said, I'm gonna leave myself a tail. I had a fair bit. I definitely went a fair bit extra on this one, but like I said, I want to make sure I had enough. So we just pull. We just pull, and I like to pull up like that. That tends to really pull them. And this one pulled down pretty good too. Maybe it's the even weave. I don't know if I've ever done a hoop with an even weave, but this is like pulling in really nice. Well, now, geez, come on. Okay. So again, we're just going to tie this just like you would tie your shoe to start. Okay. And then we're just going to tie a knot. Just going to tie it again. There you go. You wouldn't do that to your shoe because, yeah, that wouldn't be cool to knot your shoe like that. But you know what I mean. You just do a regular tie. And that looks pretty good. I don't think I need to run any other stitches to hold that down. That looks pretty well down to me. I mean, it's a little puffy. But I think just putting, well, I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself that maybe I should put a couple stitches. I'm trying to see how much of a poof I have there. If I could potentially get that to lay down or not. So this is a 3-inch piece of fabric, 3-inch circle. I think it's a 3-inch circle. Is it not? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. I was like, wow, the 3 inches. Okay, so this is a 3 inch. So yes, the 3-inch circle is too big, which is crazy to me. That's crazy. But I'm just looking, I'm thinking, I think I'm gonna have to run a couple extra stitches, which is good because you guys can see that part. Okay. So not quite long enough. Okay. Almost lost my needle. Not quite long enough. So again, you want a fairly decent piece that you can run a few stitches, across in different directions. So, I wouldn't say exactly how long, like arm length or whatever, just go with your gut. Well, somebody's out mowing their lawn, it sounds like. It's that time of year. There's no escaping it. And why did I decide to do where I have to thread a needle on camera 500 times? Like, don't do that. Lesson learned, don't thread. Start the video with the needles pre-threaded. So that I had a part of the thread, but it see, it's unraveling on me now. I hate when it does that. And there we go. And I got it. I might have gotten that off camera. So once again, I'm going to pull to the end, get my ends together, and we're going to make the knot, which I showed you guys now. Like I said, there's fancy ways to make knots. I've seen people make knots like really cool how they do. This is it. This is as fancy as I get, you guys. This is it. So I'm not fancy when it comes to making knots. Okay, I think, hold on, one more, just to be safe. Just to be safe. Okay, so once again, I made a fairly large knot because I just always worry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of pick corners where they might not be laying down as well as I want. So like this one is a good one here. So I'm just gonna kind of come up. I don't have necessarily any rhyme or reason like exactly where I place my stitch. Kind of try to place it close kind of to the end there and see how now so what I did is I came up from underneath the fabric so that way my thread is up on top here, because that way when you come, see how it pulls, and it pulls that little piece of fabric down flat. So I'm going to come to the other side here, and I'm going to come now from the top, and I'm going to run my needle down here and pull it out the bottom. See? And then I pull that, and it pulls it down nice and flat. Okay. So this section here, so again, I'm going to come up underneath here, so that way my needle ends up on the top. My thread is now on top, and I'm going to run it over to here. And again, I'm going to come down from the top, pull it so my thread comes from underneath, pull nice and tight again. Now it looks like this section here. Again, I'm going to come from the top, pull underneath, and I'm going to come over here. Again, running from the top, pull underneath. Okay, and I am going to come kind of close to where I actually was. Just looks like there's a little pucker there, so I'm trying to get that to come down. And then I really want to hit this spot. That was the spot I was really looking to hit. Okay, so now I'm kind of running low on my fabric, and I think, for the most part, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get. So now, I mean, you can do this. I mean, if you run out of thread, it's fine. We'll just tie this off, and you can take another piece of thread and keep going until you have it down the way you want. I think this is going to work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the top, and I'm going to come down. But I'm not going to pull my needle I'm not going to pull my floss all the way through, okay? So what I want to do, see how I'm getting this kind of loop here? Hopefully you guys can see. Can you see? Yeah, there you go. See how there's kind of a loop forming there? So I'm going to come up and I'm going to come underneath this loop and I'm going to form a knot. Okay, now it's knotted there. And I just cut it off, but I left myself a little bit of a tail. And so I'm going to take my 2 strands and I'm going to separate my 2 strands. Okay, so now I've got 2 strands here and I'm just going to tie a knot here. Tie 1, 2, and I always do 3, maybe 3, okay? Probably not the most professional way to do it. There's probably a fancier way to do that. That's how I do it. And then I have it pretty well. It's still a little puffy from the side, but I think once I put my backing on the back, it should be just fine. But it kind of holds it down just a little bit more, gives you a little extra stability in holding your fabric together. Okay, so there are the 2 done to that point. Okay, so I'm going to take just a quick little break. I got to run the doggo outside, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to put the felt, or I think I'm going to use felt. I'll use felt and I'll put the felt on the back, and then we'll put maybe a little bit of a bow or something on the tops of them. Okay, so we'll be right back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully this should be the last little bit of this. We're just going to go ahead and put the finishing touches on. We're going to do a couple bows, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the twine. So my camera was fighting with me here. I tried cleaning it, and I think it looks a little bit better, but it was fighting with me trying to get the tripod back, so I just lowered it a little bit. It's okay. So I'm just going to cut a small piece. This is a fairly thin twine. I can't remember exactly where I got this. I want to say Dollar Tree, maybe. Either Dollar Tree or Walmart. So I just cut a small piece. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to come through with the ends. I'm going to put that through the center of my hoop, and then I'm just going to take the part that was folded. I'm going to run the ends through that and pull it, and then I'll just tie a knot at the top. There we go, and we got a little hanger. And now we have a little hanger for our little snail. Okay. So I'm going to do, I got some burlap ribbon. Again, I'm not sure exactly where I got this. I want to say Walmart. So I'm going to do a little burlap. And actually, I'm just going to use the last little bit of this that I have. Hold on, I'm just going to try raising you guys up just a little bit, because there. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Okay, and you guys can see the kitty now. So, got my ribbon. There's a piece of tape. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this tape off without totally ruining the end of my ribbon here. And I'll show you guys how I do bows. I'm not super fancy with bows. Yeah, this is just a technique that I use. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a good technique or not. Well, I was just looking for, I just need a little piece of thread of some sort. It doesn't have to be sewing thread, whatever you have. I usually like to use like little bits that I've cut off, just kind of reuse stuff. So I just have a small piece of thread. Okay. So what I do is I take my ribbon and I form it. I just loop it over so that it looks like that. Okay, and then this, however far you want, just depends on how big you want the loops of your bow to be. And you can just, and then I just fold it in together. Now this one is a wired ribbon, so it's a little bit easier when you fold it in. You can kind of see a little bit more. So it's up to you, you know, if you want to make, you can make it a little bit bigger. If you want to make your bow a little bit bigger. And this is going to be, I'll be honest, this ribbon is a little bit big for this. So we're going to see how this turns out. I may end up doing something different, and that's okay. I don't mind having bows made because, you know, I can always use them for another project. Okay, so I'm just going to come here. I like the wired ribbon because you can just lay this down flat. You don't have to like hold it. Try to keep it, try to maneuver in your hands doing like 5 things at once. So I'm just trying to get, so if you want to try and find like your center point, you can kind of fold, you can fold it like that. And that kind of gives you where your center point is. And that's where I put my little piece of thread. Just kind of find my center point. And I'm just going to pull it. And just, so all I did is cross my thread. I didn't tie, nothing. I just crossed them. And then I'm going to flip it over. And maybe, I swear I do this so much smoother when I'm not filming myself. Flip it over. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie it. Okay. And then I like to do another where I flip it back, cross my threads again, okay, flip it back over, and tie it again, maybe. There we go. Okay, so now I can come in and I can tie again. Okay, and I'm just going to tie a knot. Oh, wow. What the heck happened there? My knot came up really high. So I'm just gonna do one more because my knot was up really high. And I'm already seeing that I don't think I got the center very well on this one. So we'll see if I can fix it, or if I end up having to just start over. That does happen. I'm just gonna clip off the ends there. Okay. So now we kind of come in and see if we can fix it to make it look nice. You know, poof it up. Like I said, it looks like my center, oh, there. I was able to slide it a little bit. My center was off just a little. Sometimes, depending on how tight you tie your centerpiece here, it can be a little difficult. But now, I like this ribbon because it doesn't matter which side. Both sides, there's no like right side or wrong side, really. Sometimes there are, you know. So it just kind of depends on what you like. So there's that side, which I like this side, you know, or there's this side. So I like this side. And so I'm going to go with that side as being my front side. So like I said, I'm just going to poof a little here and just see how I'm looking. I feel like I need to pull, see if I can pull just, I don't want to break my thread. I'm just trying to pull a little bit more to make it a little more even. Okay, and again, this is just fussy work. Okay, and I'm thinking that's looking pretty good. I think that looks pretty cute. So again, I'll be honest, this is going to be a little bit large for this piece. I'm kind of known for that too, where I use like bows that are, I do bows that are a little bit too big. But I think it's gonna be cute. We're gonna go with it because this is probably, I don't know, I like this ribbon, and I think I just need to find some smaller ribbons, that's all. So I got my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put some glue right here. So I just put my glue in the center there, and I'm going to do this a little off center. I'm not going to do this directly in the middle. And we just glue it down. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to clip my edges. So I'm just folding it over so I can get the little, so I get that look to it, where it's got the little triangle. I'm just going to do that on the other side. And I can cut this one a fair bit so they're kind of even. There we go. It's not perfect. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I like the wired because we can just kind of maneuver it around how we want. And then in the center, I've got a fabric yo-yo that I had made with my last wreath. And so I'm going to set that in the center to cover up my floss that I used, or my thread that I used to tie the bow. Okay, so we're that far so far. like I said, and we can just, you can kind of play with that however you want so you can see the piece. Okay. And then I've got my buttons. So I've got, again, I use mason jars because I've got mason jars. For making candles, I used to make candles in mason jars. And then now to painting mason jars. And I like that one. So these are my wooden buttons. I have all different colors, but I like the wooden button look for these. So it's just a brown wooden button. I got these from Walmart. So again, a little bit of hot glue. And I'm going to throw that right in the center of my fabric yo-yo. And we just hold it down for a few seconds to make sure that it takes hold. And like I said, and then you can kind of fuss because it's wired. I do like wired ribbon. I really do. I think I've said that now. But I'm kind of really liking to, I've come to appreciate the wired ribbon. I'm just going to clip these a little bit so they're not quite so long. And honestly, I would probably redo that side because it is definitely not, that side is like, yeah, that side is not looking very good. I'm not pleased with that side. So I'm just going to trim just a little bit. I don't know if I made it better or worse. We're going to go with it because I don't have much more to trim off. But there she is, all finished. So I think that one looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so then for this one, for my little snail, I don't think I need a whole lot. You know, it's a small little piece. Oh, I didn't put the fabric. Huh, I knew I was forgetting the step. I forgot to put the fabric on the back. Oh well. We can come back and do that. That's not a problem. This, I like, this is the fun part. So I'm just going to do a little bit of twine. So this is a white colored twine that I have. I don't remember where I got that. I think I got that at Walmart. And then I'm going to use that same fine, thinner twine that I have that I used for the hanger. I'm just going to cut them to the same length. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to form, so I'm going to form 2 loops. Okay. And then I'm going to take my loops and I'm going to tie them like so. Okay. And then we just kind of pull until we get the loop size that we want. And you can pull, like you could pull one to be a little bit bigger than the other one if you wanted. It doesn't have to be 100%. Oops. And then I'm just going to hold on. I'm going to pull. If you want it tighter, you just pull your loops and it'll tighten that knot a little bit more. Like I said, and again, we're just fussing now to get them to look right. However you want. Okay, and I think that looks, well, let me see here. This one is got a little twisted, and so it's being a pain. Good thing, if you got like little twists and stuff like that, you can usually cover that up with whenever you put your embellishment. You know, if you put a button, that's where buttons come in really handy because you can kind of hide some of those things if they get twisted. Actually, I'm going to try and make. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just do 2 of the same color. So I'm going to use 2 of the thinner twines. But I'm going to do the same technique. 2 loops, my 2 loops here, maybe. Maybe. There we go. Okay, we got 1. We kind of got 2. Okay. Like so. There we go. I got my knot. And there we go. Yeah, I like this better. It was, I think it was just the white was just throwing me off because it was quite a bit thicker, and I just didn't, yeah, I didn't like the look of it. So, and that happens, you know, sometimes you just gotta. Now we're just fussing. I'm just fussing, you guys. Oops. There we go. There. So let me see how that looks. Like I said, I'll probably go a little off center. I think that's gonna work. Okay, so I'll put our hot glue. Put our hot glue on our center here. I just moved the piece so I don't get hot glue all over it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go just a little off-centered. Just hold it on there for a second or a couple seconds. So it takes. There we go. And I have a little bag of some specialty buttons that I got. They're kind of vintage. They're supposed to be kind of a vintage style. They got the cameo and they're just kind of cool. So I have this one. It's a flower. And so I think I'm going to put that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't like that. That's how it goes, you guys. That is how, there we go. I think that's right. We just want a little, yep, the white, just a plain kind of a bone white color button. That is perfect. Okay, now if I can get it, get it in the right hand to get it on there. And we're just holding it down for a few minutes, or a few seconds. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to sit here for a few minutes, you could, but you don't need to. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna, I love this one. I gotta figure out a project. That butterfly is just so pretty. So this is basically the button I chose. It's just a plain white button. Okay. So now we're just gonna clip our ends here. And I don't do any, there's nothing fancy to clipping these. We just clip them off. Okay. And again, you can go as long or short as you want. I'm going a little shorter on them so it doesn't run into the piece too much. And there you go. So that is finished. So there we go. So the last thing I need to do, because I forgot, is I need to go ahead and I need to cut some felt to fit on the back of here. So I do have a pencil. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly, I just put my piece down and I'm just going to lightly trace a circle here with a pencil. Just to give me a rough circle there. And I'll be honest, when I do it this way, my circles don't always turn out perfect, you know, as long as they're close, as long as it's close enough. Again, I'm one of those that as long as if it's close, it's good, right? So we're just gonna cut this out. And this is okay. So you can do this either way. Oh, sorry, I was just looking. The cat was playing with the water bottle bag. They love bags, boxes, anything like that. So you can do this. You could put your glue around your piece there, or you know, I'm gonna do it to the actual felt piece. I'm just gonna run my hot glue around here. You know, it's really open to how you want to do it. And I'm just gonna do around the edge. I'm not gonna bother about putting like in the middle or anything. But here we go. And I probably changed the orientation of my circle, so I wouldn't be surprised if, oh no, I think I did change it, but it's good. It's not going to show through. And we're just gonna come here and press it down so we get it down nice and flat. And there you have a finished hoop with the back. Like I said, my back circle is not perfect, but that is okay. That is okay. I can live with the back circle not being perfect. Okay. So this one might be a little bit harder because I have this giant bow here. You can also take, if you have a 4-inch hoop that you haven't used, by all means, just trace that. You know, that would definitely work as well. That would work probably better, but I'm gonna try my best here to get this traced on as best I can. Okay. And you're good. So again, I'm just going to go along the edge of my felt with my hot glue gun. Looks like I need to get a new glue stick already. Boy, you go through those really quick. I have to be honest. Okay, that should be good. And now we're just going to put this on here and pat it down. I think I'm good. Okay, just come flip it back over, just kind of hold it down a little bit. That gets it on there nice and flat, and there you have it. We have another finish. Totally done with the fabric on the back. So yay. So I thought those turned out pretty darn good. I'm pretty impressed. And there we go. Here we go. See? I am still here. I'm not just a voice floating in the back. All right. So there you have it, you guys. So that was the first finish with me. I don't know. We'll see how this all goes, but I think that the actual finishes turned out super cute. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, if you didn't, you know, I understand. Not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. I hope maybe helped you learn something, or at least what not to do. I'm good for that too. So, all right. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys again later. Bye, everybody.